Welcome to the History AI podcast, where the past comes alive with facts, anecdotes, and a dash of humor. Here are your hosts, Chuck and Marco.
Hello and welcome to the History AI podcast. I'm your host, Chuck.
And I'm Marco. Today, we're journeying back to ancient times to explore one of the most pivotal battles in Chinese history, the Battle of Mobei.
That's right, Marco. This battle wasn't just a clash of armies, it was a clash of cultures and strategies that shaped the course of history.
Let's wind back the clock to the 2nd century BC. The Han Dynasty in China was in full swing, and Emperor Wu was at the helm. This era was like Game of Thrones, but with actual dragons, well, at least in the artwork.
True, Marco. Emperor Wu's reign was marked by military expansion and cultural flourishing. But to the north, there was a storm brewing, a storm named the Xiongnu.
The Xiongnu, a confederation of nomadic tribes, were the big players on the steppes of Mongolia. Think of them as the heavyweight champions of the nomadic world, ready to defend their title against the Han Dynasty's rising stars.
And it wasn't just a simple border scuffle. This was about control of the lucrative Silk Road, the ancient superhighway for trade and cultural exchange. Imagine if they had toll booths back then.
Definitely the most expensive road trip in history. Both sides knew the stakes. The Han wanted to protect their trade routes and expand their influence, while the Xiongnu were fighting to preserve their way of life and territory.
So, here we have two titans, ready to clash in what would become one of the most significant battles in ancient Chinese history, the Battle of Mobei.
It was more than just a battle, it was a collision of different worlds, cultures, and military tactics. A real East meets North situation.
And don't forget, Marco, this was a time without GPS or weather apps. Navigating the Gobi Desert was a deadly challenge on its own.
Absolutely, Chuck. Crossing the Gobi was like playing a survival game, but with higher stakes and no option to respawn.
Alright, let's zoom in on the events leading up to this epic showdown. It wasn't just a spontaneous conflict, there was a build-up, like the tense moments before a thunderstorm.
Exactly. For years, the Xiongnu had been a thorn in the side of the Han Dynasty. Raids and skirmishes were common along the northern borders. It was like a never-ending game of cat and mouse, with each side testing the other's limits. Emperor Wu, ambitious and determined, decided it was time to switch from defense to offense. He wanted to secure the Han Dynasty's northern borders once and for all. Think of him as a chess player ready to make a bold move.
That bold move was a massive military campaign aimed right at the heart of Xiongnu territory, Mobei. This wasn't just another border skirmish, it was a full-scale invasion designed to cripple the Xiongnu's power.
And let's talk logistics. Preparing for this campaign was a monumental task. The Han army had to be equipped for long marches, harsh weather, and tough terrains. This was like planning for a trip to Mars, but with swords and horses.
The Han gathered a massive force, including tens of thousands of soldiers, horses, and even a network of supply depots. It was a logistical masterpiece of the ancient world.
Meanwhile, the Xiongnu weren't just sitting around. They were well aware of the Han's intentions. Their leader, the Chanyu, was rallying his forces, preparing to defend their homeland.
The stage was set. Two great powers, ready to clash in the unforgiving landscape of Mobei. It was more than just a battle, it was a test of wills, strategy, and survival.
Now, let's delve into the heart of the conflict. On one side stood the mighty Han army, a well-oiled machine of disciplined warriors, ready to etch their mark in history.
Their leaders, Qing and Qubing, were the epitome of military prowess. Qing, known for his strategic mind, and Qubing, famed for his bold and swift cavalry tactics. Together, they were like the ancient equivalent of a dynamic superhero duo.
On the other side were the Xiongnu, under the leadership of their Chanyu, a title like king or emperor. The Chanyu was not just a ruler but a symbol of unity and strength for the Xiongnu people.
The Xiongnu were masters of horseback warfare. Their cavalry was fast, agile, and accustomed to the harsh steppe environment. It was their home turf, and they knew how to use it to their advantage.
The battlefront was vast, extending across the steppes of Mobei. This wasn't going to be a single, decisive battle but a series of engagements, each with its own challenges and opportunities for victory or defeat.
The Han army, though larger and better supplied, faced the daunting task of fighting in unfamiliar, harsh terrain, far from their supply lines. Their heavy armor and traditional tactics were pitted against the hit-and-run style of the Xiongnu cavalry.
And let's not forget the psychological aspect. The Han soldiers were fighting for the glory of their dynasty and the safety of their homeland, while the Xiongnu were defending their way of life and their very existence.
It was a clash not just of armies, but of ideologies, strategies, and survival instincts. A true testament to the complexity and intensity of ancient warfare.
Now, let's break down the nitty-gritty of the battle. The Han, despite the logistical challenges of long marches and desert crossings, arrived in Mobei with a formidable force.
Their approach wasn't just a head-on assault. Wei Qing and Qubing, brilliant strategists that they were, divided their forces to attack different Xiongnu areas simultaneously. It was like a coordinated dance of destruction.
Qubing led a lightning-fast cavalry strike deep into Xiongnu territory, targeting their heartland. His strategy was akin to a surgical strike, aiming to disrupt the Xiongnu's command and supply lines.
Meanwhile, Wei Qing took a more direct approach, leading the main body of the army to engage the Xiongnu forces head-on. His aim was to draw their attention and pin them down, preventing them from regrouping or reinforcing their positions hit by Qubing.
The Xiongnu, caught off guard by the two-pronged attack, scrambled to respond. Their Chanyu was forced to make quick decisions, trying to counter the fast-moving Han cavalry while holding the line against Wei Qing's forces.
The battles were intense and brutal. The Han, with their heavy infantry and crossbowmen, delivered devastating volleys, while their cavalry maneuvered to outflank the Xiongnu.
On the other hand, the Xiongnu used their superior knowledge of the terrain to their advantage, employing hit-and-run tactics. Their horse archers were a constant menace, harrying the Han forces and avoiding direct engagement.
There were moments of sheer brilliance and desperation. One such instance was when Qubing, finding his forces surrounded, led a daring charge through the enemy lines, breaking the encirclement and inflicting heavy casualties on the Xiongnu.
Despite the Xiongnu's resilience and tactical ingenuity, the relentless pressure from the Han forces began to take its toll. The Xiongnu found it increasingly difficult to coordinate their defense against the multifaceted Han assault.
The climax of the battle saw the Han forces converging on the Xiongnu's main encampment. It was a decisive moment, with intense fighting and strategic maneuvering.
Eventually, the Xiongnu were forced to retreat, conceding victory to the Han. This retreat marked not just a tactical withdrawal but a significant blow to their power and prestige. In every great battle, there are figures whose bravery and tactics become the stuff of legend. The Battle of Mobei is no exception.
First up, let's talk about Qubing. This young general, only in his early 20s, became a symbol of youthful valor and military genius. His audacious deep strikes into Xiongnu territory were like something out of an action movie.
Legend has it that Qubing once navigated through a severe sandstorm to launch a surprise attack on the Xiongnu. This move not only demonstrated his courage but also his ability to use nature as an ally.
Then there's Wei Qing, the seasoned veteran. His leadership and strategic acumen were key in coordinating the large-scale operations of the Han army. He was like the seasoned chess master, always thinking several moves ahead.
Wei Qing's ability to adapt to changing battle conditions, and his skill in commanding both infantry and cavalry, made him an indispensable leader in the Han military.
On the Xiongnu side, the Chanyu was not just a leader but a symbol of unity. His ability to rally the nomadic tribes under a single cause was remarkable. In the face of the Han onslaught, his leadership was crucial in maintaining Xiongnu morale and resistance.
Another tale from the battle speaks of a Han soldier named Zhongqian. Captured by the Xiongnu but never yielding, he eventually escaped and returned to the Han, providing valuable intelligence. His story is one of resilience and unwavering loyalty.
And let's not forget the unsung heroes, the thousands of soldiers on both sides who braved extreme conditions, from scorching deserts to freezing nights, fighting not just for glory but for the survival of their people.
These figures, both famous and obscure, shaped the narrative of the Battle of Mobei. Their stories of bravery, strategy, and endurance continue to inspire and fascinate generations. The aftermath of the Battle of Mobei was like the quiet after a fierce storm. The landscape of the northern steppes was forever changed.
The victory was a turning point for the Han Dynasty. It significantly weakened the Xiongnu, disrupting their dominance over the region. The Han army had not only defeated their enemy but had also demonstrated their military might.
For the Xiongnu, the defeat was a crushing blow. It led to internal strife and a loss of territory. The balance of power in the region had shifted dramatically. Imagine being the reigning champion of a league and then suddenly dropping to the bottom of the standings.
The impact on the Silk Road was profound. With the Xiongnu's power diminished, the Han Dynasty was able to secure and expand the trade routes. This opened up new avenues for cultural and economic exchange between East and West.
In terms of military tactics, the battle showcased the effectiveness of combined arms warfare and the importance of logistics and supply lines in sustaining large-scale campaigns.
It also highlighted the adaptability of the Han army, capable of fighting in diverse terrains, from the heart of China to the harsh steppes of Mobei.
Politically, the victory bolstered Emperor Wu's position. It cemented his legacy as a powerful and successful ruler, one who expanded the borders of the Han Dynasty and enhanced its prestige.
The battle had its human costs too. Thousands of soldiers from both sides perished, a reminder of the high price of war. Families lost loved ones, and many soldiers never returned home.
But the legacy of Mobei went beyond the immediate military and political consequences. It became a symbol of resilience and strategic brilliance, influencing military tactics and national policies for generations to come.
Truly, Marco, the echoes of the Battle of Mobei resonated through history, shaping the future of not just the Han Dynasty and the Xiongnu but also the broader narrative of ancient East Asian civilization.
The lasting impact of the Battle of Mobei reaches far beyond the immediate aftermath. It's a story that has echoed through the corridors of time, influencing centuries of history.
Absolutely. One of the most significant impacts was the shift in power dynamics in Central Asia. The Han Dynasty's victory effectively ended the Xiongnu's dominance in the region, paving the way for a new era of Chinese expansion.
This expansion had profound effects on the Silk Road. The Han Dynasty, now with greater control over this ancient trade network, facilitated an unprecedented level of cultural and economic exchange between the East and the West.
And let's talk about the military innovations. The battle demonstrated the effectiveness of combined arms tactics and the importance of mobility and supply lines in warfare. These lessons would be studied and emulated by military leaders for generations to come.
On a cultural level, the victory against the Xiongnu added to the legend and prestige of the Han Dynasty. It became a source of national pride, a story told and retold, inspiring art, literature, and folklore.
Politically, the victory bolstered the central authority of the Han Dynasty. It strengthened the image of Emperor Wu as a powerful and effective ruler, enhancing the stability and longevity of his reign.
The battle also had lasting effects on the Xiongnu. The defeat led to their gradual decline and fragmentation, altering the ethnic and political landscape of the Mongolian steppes.
There's also a human aspect to the lasting impact. The Battle of Mobei, in its brutality and scale, was a somber reminder of the cost of war. It underscored the sacrifices made by soldiers and the suffering of those caught in the crossfire.
And in a broader historical context, the battle is a testament to the complexity of ancient warfare and the intricate dance of diplomacy, strategy, and power that has shaped civilizations throughout history.
In essence, the Battle of Mobei was not just a clash of armies, it was an event that reshaped the geopolitical and cultural landscape of ancient Asia, leaving a legacy that still resonates today. As we wrap up today's episode, let's remember the lessons from Mobei, the resilience of humans, and the impact of leadership and strategy.
And a huge thank you to our listeners. Please rate, follow, and share the History AI podcast. Your support means the world to us.
Don't forget, you can suggest topics through our social media channels. We love hearing from you.
Until next time, this is Marco
and Chuck signing off. Stay curious, everyone. Step into the thrilling world of sports betting with The Starting Line, an introduction to sports betting. Whether you're a beginner or simply curious, this comprehensive guide takes you from the basics to the advanced. Learn to decode odds, develop winning strategies, and bet responsibly. Get your copy now and transform every game into an adventure. The Starting Line is your first step towards mastering the art of sports betting. Available on Amazon.